So, as you can tell, this episode, or at least today's 28 Days episode, is coming out a bit earlier than expected, but there is a good reason for it. I'm seeing Spirited Away tonight, because by popular demand, through family events, there is a little... They added in another day that the dub is going to be in theater, so I'm going to Linwood to see it tonight. So, I'm seeing, at least these two are tonight's selection, are basically the selections for tonight. So today, I've selected one that I haven't seen in a long while. If you see to the very first, 28 Days of Christmas Marathon, and it's been a long while since I've ever actually talked about that one. But there is a little special that I actually have not seen in that said marathon. And this was when the movie was airing on Stars. So that's a long time waiting that I actually wanted to actually see the movie. And that movie is, of course, Elves, featuring Will Ferrell and James Caan, with guest appearances by Bob Newhart and Peter Dinklage, who you might be familiar with as Tyrion, as one of the Lannisters from Game of Thrones, and of course Mark, I'm gonna butcher this last name, Axon from My Little Pony, who was, Lord Tyrek from My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. Which, thanks to Red Card for pointing that out. So, in Elf, this is basically another Will Ferrell comedy, in which, Will Ferrell portrays an elf called Buddy. And in this, he winds up, traveling all the way to New York after finding out that his father is, of course, James Caan. And he suddenly finds out that, of course, his father is that of James Caan. But he has to find a way to, of course, convince him that he is his son. So he travels all the way to New York City to convince him of that. And so, it's sort of like Hercules in New York, which suddenly I'm now creeped out of that idea, of a holiday version of Hercules in New York. Except it's a little bit silly. But yeah, he suddenly goes to New York and he gets himself into some antics and silliness of ideas. He winds up getting, he goes to New York and, he winds up getting himself a job as an elf in a department store. He tries to be a serious businessman. Winds up getting himself thrown into prison, where he gets himself into a holding cell where, although he's not allowed to be there's no smoking allowed, there's actually somebody smoking in the prison. Rules don't make any sense in this prison. But during some long convincing and everyone actually warming up to him, and even people actually liking the elf, it suddenly made sense that, through some convincing, that Buddy the Elf, which that actually is Will Ferrell's character in the movie, that all of a sudden, they all like him. Even some of the people that he interacts with. It's pretty much a fun movie to watch around this time, and I even like some of the moments in the movie. I mean, pretty much you go around Twitter or YouTube or whenever, you'll see some of the clips that are taken from this movie. I think one of the moments I see most often on YouTube, or that I see as GIFs on Twitter, yes, I'm pronouncing it like that, is, I forget what it is. I'm forgetting the line. It's you live in a window, you live in a glass of lies. I'm thinking of that line from Ron Burgundy, but it's something similar to that line. But it's one of the funniest lines in all of the movie that I actually do like. And I happen to see myself quoting it whenever I see somebody lying. Most of the time, at least not whenever I'm out in public, but whenever I see somebody out there, and I'm just bored out of my mind just seeing somebody out there, and I just go like up to them. But pretty much, this is a fun movie to watch around the holidays. Usually, whenever you see this film, it's sometimes up on Freeform to watch around the holidays. At least, that's how I know it's up. It's on Freeform. But whenever I did see it up on there, it's usually up around, like when I first saw it, like I said, it was on Stars. And how I did get this, it's usually in Best Buy. Not Best Buy, Costco, so got this from Costco. So to wrap it, and overall it is a best movie to watch around the holidays, so I'd say it is like a funny film, and definitely it has some interesting cinematography, and it definitely has that interesting vibe that both Nerve and Home Alone 2 has, where I actually do want to go to New York now because of it. So pretty much, yeah, I now want to enjoy the film and actually do want to go to New York. So, overall, let's just keep everything here and let's dive into the next special, into the double specials, that is Prep and Landing. And so we now move on to our final two specimen of the day, which I now figured out is day 11, is, of course, the Prep and Landing series. There are only two of them, because they haven't made a third one as of yet, which is, of course, Prep and Landing and Prep and Landing Naughty vs. Nice. These are shorts from 2009 and, if I recall this correctly, 2011, which focus on, of course, elves that basically work in a division known as the Prep and Landing and, of course, the Coal Elf Brigade. In this division, they basically prepare the house for Santa's arrival. And it's a fun little short series that Disney's put out, especially around Christmas time. You watch around ABC or basically Freeform, it's a good series to watch around Christmas time. In the short one, it's a good start in it. Wayne, who's basically voiced by Chris from Dan Versus, another good series that I wish they didn't postpone or cancel, or I don't even know what's going on with it, plays Wayne, one of the elves who thinks he wind up getting promoted, but honestly he didn't, as of course he winds up getting a new elf named Lanny to train. As, of course, he doesn't want to get into the Christmas spirit and, of course, try to train the new elf. When this, of course, winds up happening, and he starts to lazily not, set up the house or whatever, and a snowstorm happens, I guess in the Midwest, I'm guessing this takes place in Chicago, this, suddenly sets him up in the Christmas spirit, and of course he turns his mood around and starts to want to set up Christmas again. It's a fun little special, and I definitely would want to see it every year, and it's sort of become a tradition for not only me, but also for some of the people but not only for me, but also for some of my family members that actually do watch Disney films in my household. Now, as for the other one, Naughty vs. Nice, in it, the Coal Elf Brigade winds up, of course, getting their little pager or whatever getting stolen by a kid who is trying to hack into the system, all because she has been mistakenly placed as naughty in Santa's list, and has been trying for years, or at least a year, to change that. And it's up to Wayne, Lanny, and of course Wayne's younger brother, I forget what the order was, to essentially set up the, to try and get the big fruitcake pager back from this kid. I like it. I mean, other than the fact is that I like it, it's another one of those, specials that I see every year, because not only is it a great Christmas special, but it also teaches what I consider to be a good lesson about brotherhood, and essentially the big moral about how sometimes you take into account that you don't blame everything on your siblings, and always look on the bright side of life. It's pretty much a miraculous series, and I wish that Disney could at least try to continue more of this. I want to see more out of this. So, I will say this much. The Prep and Landing series, highly recommended if it's airing on ABC or Freeform or whatever it's airing on. And most definitely, if you can, pick it up or rent it through any source, because it's fun. I mean, a lot of comedy and a lot of Easter eggs that pop up in these, series or whatever. But I think the Easter eggs pop up more in the sequels, because I realize in the sequel, in Naughty vs. Nice, there's what is it? I mean, not only is there an Easter egg to Mickey Mouse and the Battle of Nessie, but also apparently there is an Easter egg to A Christmas Story, because two of the kids in the Jingle Smells flashback is that there's two kids standing in line for the Department Mall Santa, and two of them resemble Ralphie and the kid with the airplane goggles from A Christmas Story. So I actually find that kind of hilarious, that they would actually John Lasseter, or whoever was animating the scenes, would actually animate some little Christmas Story Easter egg for the special. But I mean, who could blame me? I mean, he essentially aired this stuff 24. He essentially aired Christmas Story 24 hours for. Oh my God, for the start of Christmas Eve evening till the evening of Christmas Day. So almost around the clock. So again, it's a fun little romp into, not only a trip to something that was, for a second look at probably one of my favorite specials, but also another look at probably one of my few favorite Disney Christmas specials. But it still can't top Mickey's Christmas Carol, with Alan Young as Scrooge McDuck, which, bless his soul, Alan Young, who was Wilbur and Mr. Ed, and of course Scrooge McDuck. So, I hope to see you guys tomorrow for more Christmas specials and movies, and I hope to see you guys for, yet again, another lineup of Christmas related stuff. And maybe, just maybe, a review of Spirited Away. Because, well, like I said in the very beginning of this day, I am going to go see it in Linwood. So, there could be a review coming out for it. So, maybe keep your eyes out for it. Until then, see you guys tomorrow, and cheers to Ali Young.